Welcome back to another episode of the Pitlane Punters podcast. This is the feature series where we're going and having a chat to all sorts of personalities in the motorsport world. Now, we chat a lot about national level motorsport here on the podcast. You know, we talk about supercars, we've got the dream team and stuff and all that. We've talked to some pretty impressive drivers, but on a grassroots level, we don't do much stuff. And for people who have always thought about getting into racing, I mean, we've done the car club stuff too before previously in the Canberra Festival of Speed. But for people who are looking about getting into racing, go-karting is sort of one of those really entry-level spots, and it's something we've joked about on the podcast. It's something I've done previously too and had success. So I thought, who better to talk about the current state of karting and a little bit about themselves and their journey through the karting space than Croc Promotions' Blair Van Ree. Blair, thanks for joining us on the pod, mate. I know you're a little bit nervous, so just relax, brother, because you've got quite a wealth of knowledge and you've been quite successful in the sprint karting space. So firstly, mate, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Josh. Quite honoured to be on the podcast. A little bit more comfortable with a helmet on than a mic in hand, but we'll see how we go.
Spoken like a true race car driver. Now, I guess where I want to sort of talk about your story, mate, is and just so people at home can relate to karting, because you started karting at a very young age. I know your father as well raced a lot in the 80s and 90s too, and sort of imported karts, raced karts, and had teams as well, and sort of raced all around the country, and you've sort of followed in that footsteps a little bit as well. Let's start about your first race meeting, mate, because I mean it was a long time ago, and I guess back then it was called cadets or rookies, wasn't it, back in the day?
I actually started out in midgets, which is what the now Cadet 9 category is called, and a pull start 80cc Coma engine back then.
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes that have happened, and then you moved your way through into the Junior National Series as well, which has obviously changed a lot now, hasn't it?
Yeah, the KT100J engine that used to be Junior National Light, Junior National Heavy is now obsolete and taken over by the Army KA100 and KA3 Junior Light and KA3 Junior Heavy, and obviously your national championship weight, KA3 championship.
For sure. And again, then we move into seniors, which we've seen a lot of, I guess, pretty successful drivers, both here nationally and internationally, and any Australian racing, as I drop some keys in the background there, any Australian, I guess, driver racing in Formula One, they would have started out in karts, right?
Yeah, I don't think there'd be anyone on any professional level that hasn't started in go-karts. It's a fundamental step in any car racing career.
And let's talk about some of your senior wins, mate, because I ran out of fingers when I started rattling off how many championships you've managed to win on the state level. Let's talk about the plate system, because I think that's one thing for people who don't know much about karting. There's obviously your club stuff, which, again, if you're thinking about getting into racing, you should probably go down and check out one of your local club meetings to see what it's all about. But then we get into, our red, our black, and our blue, and even up to green plates as well for the national sort of stuff. And you've won a couple of them, and you can probably see, for people who are watching on YouTube, some of the stickers up in the background. So let's talk about some of those championships, because a lot of effort goes in. And look, if I try to rattle off all the years and the exact titles, I would probably get it wrong, and I don't want to do you an injustice, mate. Let's talk about some of those titles. What are some of the ones you managed to tick off your bucket list?
So 2 Victorian State Cup championships, so 2 Victorian black plates, an Australasian championship, so Victorian red plate, New South Wales Victorian State Cup, another black plate, and New South Wales State Championship blue plate.
Yeah, so quite a lot, really, isn't it? And I guess most karters who are racing would not have gotten that many championships. What does it take to, I guess, consistently, because you've been competing at quite a high level in state karting for a while now, what does it take to sort of stay at that level for so long?
Just a lot of commitment, a lot of laps, a lot of time mucking around in the shed, making sure everything's prepared, 100% ready to go. You can't afford any DNFs through the heats by being ill-prepared or having a faulty kart.
And we've talked to so many drivers who are racing at that sort of top level, but that mentality and the winning mentality, what does that sort of look like? Because, I mean, it goes all through karting and every stage of motorsport. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes that sort of, what's the difference between kind of finishing and not damaging the kart to running sort of in the top 10 to winning and getting on the podium and top step?
It just comes down to, a bit more determination. You got to have that. You got to have that real hunger and desire to, really push for the win. You can't afford to go out half-hearted, happy to be there. You no one goes to the racetrack to come second, but I think some people definitely take it a little bit more serious than the next.
For sure, and I guess there's so many weight classes in the individual divisions as well, and I'm well aware of it. I remember starting in junior national light, and obviously by the time I was hitting 16, I was going into heavies, and there's even the super heavy class too as well. What sort of differences, I guess, are there? And what's like people just go, oh, it's just a larger person having a run. He's not as fit as someone else, but there's a lot of fitness and I guess match fitness that comes into it too, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of you need to be race fit. So the more often you're in the kart, the easier it is, especially now, these days everyone's on a fairly high grip tire. It's quite taxing on your ribs, neck, and just, fitness in general.
The ties thing is something that really interests me because there's a lot of, I guess, behind the scenes politics that happen in motorsport and a lot of things, and it's no different here on this level, really, is it? But the changes in tyres that we've seen over the years, we've sort of seen karting go from more of a like old mate pulling his cart out of the back of the barn and chucking it on a 64 trailer and coming down and racing club days to now it feels very European now, doesn't it? Where has that change sort of come from?
I think it's just change probably about 10 years ago, really, when the Australian Championship structure changed, when you started seeing the likes of Oscar Piastri going over to Europe to race. And he's just one of many that have gone over now or are currently there. So, you had the likes of James Wharton went and raced through the karting categories, and Hugh Barter, and there's countless others that are over there now.
The one that comes to mind is, and being an Albury local and here being in at Albury track too, like Macca Jones raced through here as well. Macaulay Jones, who races in supercars. Jordan Boys obviously spent some time here and he went over to Europe as well, racing in the Rotax National scene. He came third back in the day when he raced over there. Some Bathurst 1000 starts. So, I mean, it really is just such a key part to development, isn't it? And not just that too, but in terms of road safety too, you just sort of get your eye in a little bit more on the road too, for safety, that is.
Yeah, I definitely think the benefits outweigh the costs. Like, if you can save yourself one car incident on the road, or, if you end up making a career out of it, it's the benefits definitely outweigh the costs because it could save your life.
For sure. And let's talk about Croc Promotions now because obviously when you started racing, and like I'm pretty sure your dad back when it was before Wodonga Karts and Parts, which is the team, I guess, underpinning the Croc Promotions brand, was an Amiga distributor, Amiga Karts, which came out of South Australia, and then obviously moving into sort of the LGK space and now into the Croc Promotion space. So let's talk about the evolution of these sorts of karts because there's a lot more bodywork on it than I remember. What has changed from a driving perspective?
Yeah, just the high level of grip at at pretty much every event besides a club day now. Like even your state level events or your zonal level, it's just everyone's on a high grip tire. The track's really rubber in, so yeah, the aerodynamics too of the plastics have made quite a bit of a difference. I think even back in 6-7 years ago, technically in the rules there wasn't supposed to be an aerodynamics advantage, but it's all designed in a wind tunnel now, so I think that rule's gone out the window.
Are you for real? They're in wind tunnels. They're designing wind tunnels, these things.
Yeah, all the plastics now are designed in wind tunnels, and that happened already about 2 generations before this one.
And do you actually feel the difference with if there's no nose cone on it, for example, versus like if there is one? Do you feel that as a driver?
Well, that one I couldn't tell you really about because, technically you can't drive it without the nose cone.
But if there's say damage, because obviously you got the what are they, the push nose cones now if in case there's too much contact with another car?
Yeah, so you got the pushback or drop down front bumper, which that does slow you down when you're racing too because it usually sometimes scrubs on the ground if it drops back, so creates a bit of understeer and vibrations, a bit of discomfort, so that slows you down. So I suppose, that's a bit of an effect by it not being properly even fitted.
And I guess when you're racing at that level, I'm sure the answer is probably yes, you can feel it if you didn't have a nose cone. I know you're not supposed to drive around with them, but even if the people who watch it on YouTube, you can see sort of like the scoops coming up here and pushing the air up over the tyres as well to reduce drag. And every little bit counts at this sort of level, and especially at the level you're running at too.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think this is designed to. It's got 2 kilos less drag than the predecessing nose cone and NASA panel at about 60 kilometers an hour. So, every little bit counts. And when you're talking about tenths being across, the top 10 to 20 at national level, that's a massive advantage to have the latest aerodynamics.
And this kart's been pretty successful overseas too. It's kind of new to Australia, obviously with you guys being the importers of the Croc Promotions kart. What's it sort of done in Europe to make you go, that's the kart we wanna bring in here and that people want to race?
Yeah, they've been very highly successful in the X30 categories over in England quite a bit. Junior X30 World Championships and X30 Masters World Championships in the last few years. I think they've wrapped up 4 championships in 3 years. So,
And that's in England and Europe.
The team's based out of England, but yeah, they're World Championships. So I think they've raced in Bahrain recently for that. So
Yeah, right. And obviously, that's a stepping stone in terms of the British open wheel formula, of course. Like some of the best world champions have gone through the open wheel formula over in England. Like you think of Ayrton Senna, he raced in Formula 3 as well. Even some of our supercars drivers like a Will Davison and Marcus Ambrose and stuff or James Courtney, I should say, rather, went through that program too, which is kind of really cool to see. Well, I guess... What's next, mate? Because I know in the background, it's something kind of cool you've been doing. You've found a fair bit of success in karting, and I know karting's you're not moving away from it. There's an Australian Karting Championship berth looking on the cards in the next 12 months, and also in the shed. Whilst you've been running or being a part of this race team, been building an Excel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the XL. Look, it's just a change, I mean, everyone wants to do well and everyone wants to progress, but it's just another grassroots venture for me. But look, we'll just play that one by ear.
Yeah, cool.
It's quite a competitive and expensive category to run at the front. So I'm just doing it on a budget. I work, 7 till 3:30 every day, and I'm just an average punter having a crack. So if I can race at Bathurst and race well, I'll be happy, and tick off the likes of Phillip Island and Sandown.
Yeah, so that's something you're planning to do next year? Or this year?
Yeah, next year's the plan. Get a few more track days, get the car 100% finished, ready to race is my goal for this year.
And a lot of people think motorsport is motorsport, but it's not really the case, is it? Because there must be such a difference in driving, say, something with such, I guess, so light but yet so powerful and so grippy in a go-kart, for example, to driving an XL. Like, what, for some people at home who sort of don't really understand, or even some of the drivers we previously talked to, it's been a little while since they've been at that level. Like, what is some of the things that are different about driving these individual things, going from a kart to a car, for example?
Yeah, the XL, it's quite a wild little beast. It doesn't look like much besides Grandma's shopping trolley, but yeah, out on a racetrack when you're giving it 110%, they're quite flighty in the rear end and quite a bit of a handful to tame.
For sure, and I know there's a bit of body roll and stuff that kind of comes in that we don't really see on a karting level. But let's talk. I kind of want to get a bit of an anecdote from you. You've been racing for a long time, and you and the Croc Promotions team have been traveling around the countryside for like a long time. Like, you've been doing a lot of stuff. Any sort of funny stories from camping or staying out or even on the racetrack, for example? Surely there's got to be one.
Oh, I don't know. I guess, some funny stories of, fierce rivals. You might have some heated words, and it's a great community sport because all of a sudden, 6 months later, you might actually be best of mates, and they're part of your team, and all of a sudden, they're part of your family. So that's probably one of the funniest stories is going to blues with some blokes, and then all of a sudden, you're best of mates, and they call you up every week, because they're living in Melbourne or Sydney or whatever be it, and yeah, you can't wait to catch up with them at the next event, and yeah.
That's probably a really nice note to end on, Blair, because I know that's really nice because we see sort of that stuff in motorsport too. We've seen in Formula One as well. Some of the guys who they race week in week out and they go have dinner together. Whether that's good or bad, that's another conversation. And even stuff like at Taupo recently with the two Kiwis, Matt Payne and Ryan Wood, managing to get on the podium together when they'd raced all their life. So that's kind of nice. It's quite a community sport. I mean, I said that was going to be the last one, but I just sorry, mate. Sorry to hold you up on this one. But for people who are sort of wanting and looking at getting into karting, and whether it's with Croc Promotions or another team, or they buy something secondhand, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone aspiring to get into motorsport at a karting level?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, look, you won't look back. It's some of the best times of my life, really. Looking forward. You're always looking forward to the next event, and you're always reminiscing on the past. So, yeah, my advice: just do it.
Cool. Well, Blair, thank you so much for joining us here on the Pitlane Punters. Good luck for the Australian Karting Championship. I know we didn't touch on that too much, but for next year when you go down that road, and good luck with the XL stuff as well. I know it's a pretty competitive field and quite expensive as well, but I'm sure you'll do great.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, looking forward to it. Next chapter, next challenge, so bring it on.
Motorsport is all about precision, and every second counts. And when it comes to internet, Own Internet delivers pole position performance with rock-solid reliability, real regional Aussie support, and no dropouts. No lag, no pit stops, just fast, reliable internet to keep you connected lap after lap. Whether you're streaming the race, sim racing online, or keeping up with motorsport news, Own has you covered. Own Internet is a proud supporter of the Pitlane Punters podcast, backing motorsports communities and making sure your connection is always on track. Start your own journey today at owninternet.au or click the link in the episode description for more details.